Today we'll be doing 7.2 day 1. And on this we're still using the Pythagorean Theorem, but now we're using the Pythagorean Theorem to find a distance on a coordinate plane. So as we recall, a squared plus b squared equals c squared is the Pythagorean Theorem. So if I look here, I want to know the distance of x to y. I cannot count that because it's not a vertical or horizontal line. So what they did is they drew a right triangle to make legs to make a right triangle. Then we can find the lengths of these because the horizontal line and vertical lines, you can just count the units. So this horizontal line is 4 units. The vertical line, in this case, is also 4 units. So I can fill that in, my theorem up here, and solve for c. So one leg is 4 squared plus the other leg is 4 squared is equal to c squared. 4 squared plus 4 squared gives me 32. Is equal to c squared. The opposite of squaring something is to take the square root. So I end up with c is equal to exactly the square root of 32 if we want an exact answer, or approximately 5.7. So just make sure you pay attention what answer they want. Exactly is that one. Approximately is the 5.7. Our next example is exactly like this, except for the right triangle is not drawn for you. So there's two ways you can draw that. You can go straight out and then down and do it that way, or you can go straight up and over and do it that way. Either way will give you the same answer. I'm going to go ahead and do it this way. So I created my right triangle by adding a point here. Remember, this is across from the 90, so my diagonal is the c, and that's what we're looking for. So I need to find the lengths by counting on my two legs. So 1, 2, 3, 4 units vertically, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 horizontally. So this gives me 4 squared plus 8 squared equals c squared. 4 squared plus 8 squared gives me 80 is equal to c squared. The opposite of squaring something is to take the square root. Those cancel out. So that gives me c is equal to exactly the square root of 80, which is approximately 8.9. And that is your answer. Our next problem combines a lot of these together. So we're doing the same idea here, but instead of just one, they give us 3 different lines. It says find the distance between each pair of points. Which pair of points is the greatest distance apart? So I'm going to try to use color coordinated to go with each one. So on this first one, AB, you have to be able to graph them. So 3, 2, remember you go left or right first and then up and down. So I go 3 over, 2 up, and you need to label them so that we know what we're talking about. That is A. B is at 7, 5, and I'll label that B. We want to know the distance between. I'm going to go, this time I'm going to go over and then up for my leg. So I'm trying to find this. 1, 2, 3, it is 4 units over, 3 units up. So my work over here is going to be 4 squared plus 3 squared equals c squared. 4 squared plus 3 squared gives me 25 equals c squared. So that means c is equal to 5. So I would write that as the measure of AB is equal to 5. And this one actually does give me that whole number answer. Okay, now I go ahead and I'm going to do CD. So I need to go ahead and put that on the label first. So I go over 4, up 9. Don't forget to label it. So that is my C. D is 9, 5. And I'll connect those. And I'm going to draw my triangle this way. So I go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My other leg is 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the numbers that I'm going to use over here. So I have 5 squared plus 4 squared equals c squared. 5 squared plus 4 squared is 41 is equal to c squared. Remember, you take the square root of it. So over here I have the measure of CD is equal to the square root of 41, which is approximately 6.4. And my last one here is e to f. So e is -6. I'm going left, -4 down. That's my e. F is at 3,7, so this looks like a very long one. So we have F. We're going to connect those, and then I'm going to make this a little bit thicker here. And then I can count my units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I have 11 and 9 as my legs, so it's 11 squared plus 9 squared equals c squared. And that gives me 202 equals c squared. The opposite of squaring something is to take the square root. So over here I get the measure of EF is equal to the square root of 202, which is approximately 14.2. So if I look at my thing up here, it said find the distance between each pair of points. I did. Here are my distances. I have 5, 6.4, and 14.2. Then it says which pair of points is the greatest distance apart. My longest one is e to f, so I would put, and you can write it up here or wherever you have room, if I can get my pen to work correctly. The greatest distance apart, E, F is the greatest distance apart. Okay, I don't know about you, but I need a little break here. So, if I can figure this out, I do have a joke for you here after all of that. Pythagorean theorem, a new Pythagorean theorem, find x. It is here. Because, I think it says because using a squared plus b squared equals c squared takes too long. And that is true on that last problem we just had. So to let you know, tomorrow we'll find out a faster way and not having to graph to find those distances. But until then, you guys have guided practice, page 22, number 1, and assignment, page 28, 1 and 2.